Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, yo, y'all know me, Pops Van Zant from the Madness Comic Network. The Madness Comic Network coming to Roku. You can check out our preview channel right there, right now. Look, we're bringing all of our content to Roku. I'm excited. You should be too. A shout out to Hart Fisher at the American Horse Channel, baby. Woo! You know what's up.
Flip City Magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they have just, I mean, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting, but also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
Welcome to Mobamalls. Mafia Animals Poker Playing Cards. Make 100. Where real-life mobsters meet the wild side. Let's dive into the intriguing world of this unique deck. Meet Carmine the Snake Persico and Vincent Mad Dog Call. Real-life mobsters with fascinating stories. Mobamalls takes these characters and transforms them into their animal nickname counterparts. Introducing a 55-card poker-sized deck featuring 52 of your favorite mobsters reimagined as animals. Each card is a dedication to a different real-life mobster, complete with their name, nickname, affiliation, and birth-death years. But that's not all. This limited edition print run includes exclusive items like poker chips, signed decks, whiskey glasses, challenge coins, and even handmade Mobamal plushies. Don't miss your chance to be part of this limited edition experience. Back Mobimals, Mafia Animals Poker Playing Cards. Make 100 on Kickstarter now. Let's bring these mobster animals to life together.
What is Path of the Pale Rider anyway? Is it a comic book? No, that's not it. Is it this? What the heck is Path of the Pale Rider, man? There's no way this is right. How about this? I really have no idea.
We're gonna rob a bank.
Oh, it's there.
The Madness Comic Network and Comic Related Madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Hello. Hello. It is Tuesday. And we are here with our coffee and our comics and our nerd personalities to hang out and talk about what's popping. I'm here for it. Lots is going on, man. Chicken nuggets. You want some chicken nuggets? I'll show you some chicken nuggets. Give me a second here. I got to scroll down to there we go. Chicken nuggets. Nothing like some good chicken nuggies. So, Path of the Pale Rider Camp. Marco is finishing up the last 4 pages. Matt and I are, he just finished the previous set, and I am lettering the 3rd page of that set. And then, so we're like in that home stretch. Rachel, our editor, is chomping at the bit, waiting for everything. I know people are super excited. I can show no art for what we're working on right now because holy spoilers, Batman. But I like to show, like, I think I showed like a little bubble that says, "Don't look back, just run." Yeah. And like chaos. You can't really see what's going on, but there's shit going down. Excuse my language. It's kind of early for that. Maybe. Anyway, Path of the Pale Rider, as we wrap up the issue number 4, we're going to be doing the trade paperback next. So this bad boy got approved for pre-launch status yesterday. Let me drop that link for you. You guys can sign up for the pre-launch. Basically, you're not, in case you're not familiar with Facebook, all you're all doing is signing up to be notified when the project goes live. It'll just send you an email. It'll say Laurie Calcaterra has launched Path of the Pale Rider trade back. Support it because you believe in it. I'm doing some really cool stuff with this one. I'm doing plushies because of Carissa. Thanks, Carissa. She's been pressuring me for almost a year. I know Aaron's in the background shaking his head at me, but I feel ya. It's like she wanted a Big James plushie. The people spoke. I put out a poll in our group. That was the highest ranking thing. People want these pillow plushies. Matt colored a really cool black and white, the bio sketch that Marco DeFio did of Big James. So we're going to have Big James pillow plushies. We're going to have yellow hoodies. I'm doing some binding, some book binding myself. So there's going to be some custom made books in there. I think I'm max doing 10. So there's some really neat stuff in there. And that's I didn't even tell you about everything else that's going on. So click the button to be notified upon launch. And that way you can get in there. Those pillow plushies, there aren't very many. So if you are one of the pillow plushie, I don't know what nerd addicts. That's a good word. If you're an addict for the pillow plushies and you love Big James, you got to make sure you get in there quick. Otherwise, those are going to go. So good times. I just want to give a shout out to a few people. So we're going to share this tab. Of course, Carissa Grant. She's at 106 backers. Dang, she's trying to push a little further. She's at 3868. If y'all would help, go check this one out. My goal is if she gets over 4,000, she's going to cluck like a chicken on the Tuesday morning brew. She has not agreed to this in any terms, but I keep saying it enough times, then she'll probably do it. So let's peer pressure Carissa Grant into clucking like a chicken. That's all I got to say about that. And then, of course, I had another link and it's gone. Chris Brown is doing Slaughterville. And he is fully funded. We launched this last week for the Cannibal Rednecks. He is sitting at 1,096. So he's at 200%, 39 backers, and he's still got 23 days to go. So plenty of things to go check out. If you have, I'm sorry, I got to throw this up here. If you have not seen this video, oh my God. If you have a sense of humor, it's freaking hilarious. If you love horror, he does like this Hallmark trailer for his Cannibal Redneck. Just click on it and watch it and you will laugh. If you got a sense of humor, it's amazing. All right, so that's the recap of that. I just wanted to say, what else did I got? I got a book this week from Caleb Palmquist. It's the Space Monkey Knights Go. I'm excited to dig into that. Hoping my kids will like it because they're always looking for stuff. I have Mittens up here. Mittens is fabulous. I can't wait for my kids to read Mittens. They already read frickin' Alien in My Toilet by Sam Vera, and they love that one. So always looking for good stuff for the kiddos to read, Yeah, I think you got that. Anyway, let's bring in our guest for today, Mr. Aaron. How you pronounce your last name? Dowen?
We'll go with that.
Dowen?
We'll go with that.
I can keep going.
Well, my family split. We realized a couple of years ago that my half of the family is the only one that says Dowen. But and if we were to trace it back, it's probably Dowen because I think originally it was Doughan.
Oh, what nationality is that? I'm just curious.
As far back as we can get is Scottish.
That would make sense. Yeah. Hey, a beautiful beard.
Oh, this whole thing.
Beard fans in the chat. Yeah.
That's right. Gotta have them.
Got lots of cool people in here. We got Catalyst Comics, Devil's Air, John from Part-Time Comics. Lou is here. Hi, Lou. Of course, Pops is in the chat.
Hey, everybody.
Good stuff. Yeah. Jessica's here. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Jess.
Support.
Gotcha.
So, a ton of people. Mr. Big is here too. If you're not familiar with Mr. Big, why not? be familiar with Mr. Big.
Most of the people on here I don't know, except for like John. Well, in Catalyst because I own it, but and Jessica.
Well, good. That's great. My favorite thing is when I host the podcast is to have someone on that I've never talked to before, so we can get to know each other a little more because we move in the same circles, but also to introduce you to my group, which is who's in the chat. So that way, if they're really into what you're into, oh my gosh, then they can find something new and exciting. Heck yeah, man.
Heck yeah.
So, Aaron, tell us your origin story. How did you get into comics? What were you reading? What influences you? Tell us all the details.
Yeah, so I've been writing mostly short stories when I started, but I've been writing since I was in middle school. Started off with short stories, and then I want to say in elementary school is when my dad and I think it was mom and dad. I think it was dad mostly gave me my first comic book, which was a Dick Tracy kind of like trade. It wasn't even a first volume, so I have no idea what happened before it. I haven't tracked down 1 and 2, but I have vivid memories of being in the back of a car during a road trip and reading this particular trade. I still have it, which is cool that I was smart enough to hang on to it. It's in horrible condition, but that's where I started, was like, detective. Again, I was super young, so they obviously did not look at the rating of what Dick Tracy is. So, and also my dad was a pastor, so
so he had no idea what he was.
No idea. He was like, a comic for kids.
Yeah, comics are for kids, right?
That's right.
There you go, you're a kid.
And so that's where I started, and I still have a glowing passion for like detective style,
Cool.
Dick Tracy style stories. Anyway, so that's how it started in like elementary school. Started writing stuff in middle school, throughout high school. Like everybody else, I dabbled in poetry, but you can't find it anywhere, so don't even try.
I only laugh because people are like, I'm a really bad poet, and whenever they come out, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's out there. I was in middle school, or in high school, so I'm sure it was angsty and annoying. I don't remember any of it. Didn't save any of those files.
Depressed, emo.
Yeah, for sure.
All of that.
Yeah. And so after that, I started playing guitar and singing and songwriting in middle school as well at the end. So I've been doing that ever since then. So I've always been writing. But a few years back, I want to say it was 2016, I got it in my head that I was like, man, I like reading comics. I should probably just try writing one. And what if I were to do that, what kind of superhero universe would I come up with?
Yeah.
And so that's what I started with, was Paradigm was our first book. And it came up with the idea of just like, no matter what happens, I just want to get it done. So I met the former co-owner of Catalyst Comics through a mutual friend that some people might know. His name is Louis Small Jr. He did a lot of covers back in like the 90s for Vampirella was his big one. He did them for a bunch of different DC titles as well. And I think he does like cards and stuff now. But anyway, we met through him, and both of us, no idea what we were doing, but he was kind of like, well, this is kind of how you do it. And so we put together our first book, and then we hired our first team after that to start Tilt. And so I've been floating in the superhero universe for a while, but now I'm kind of doing more stuff outside of that. And for now, the superhero universe is put on pause. So probably 2016 is the first time I started scripting. And then it just all became a snowball effect after that, where it's like, well, we produced a book. We could probably do more than that. So we did.
I only laugh because in the beginning, we're always so naive. Like, I can do this.
Yeah,
this
it's super easy.
Intimidating at all. And then like you get into it and you're like, what did I do?
Yeah, exactly. You're in it for like a year and a half and you're like, oh crap.
Like, should I keep going?
Right. Yep.
I don't know.
Well, it's I think it's 2020 where a lot of people just popped up and they're like, I've always wanted to do a comic. And then like a lot of those people don't exist anymore.
It's interesting. I think 2020 was a catalyst for a lot of different things. Yeah. Just because of how weird that time was. We're all stuck at home and it's like, I should do something. Everybody realized how much free time they actually have.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we're all stuck at home and it's just like looking at these four walls, like I got to do something or I'm going to climb these walls.
Right.
So like everybody took up sourdough bread and like, and then the rest of us were like, I'm going to do a comic book. The COVID comics. That's right, Lou.
That's right. Someone
I'm
should just make
technically
a
a
giant
COVID comic too.
I mean, we did too. That was like one of our most productive years for sure.
That was the year we decided, and this was weird because we had started in January before lockdown, where we were like, we're going to do a comic book. I'm going to take this script. It's getting really good reviews and everybody thinks it's great. Let's turn it into a comic book, start doing our thing. And then, of course, everything crashed and burned. Yeah. So a lot of people crashed and burned and just didn't come back.
Yeah,
so
we started our podcast in February of 2020.
Shoot.
And then we were like, oh, crap. Well, at least we have something to talk about. It was like, oh, it's going to be an in-person podcast. And then it was immediately not an in-person podcast. So,
John, they were snapped out of existence by Thanos. That's what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
We'll answer.
And I missed some of them.
Oh.
Well, there were some that they came into it towards the end of 2020, still while we were still going through all that stuff. And there's one in particular that it only lightly haunts me because I use it as an antidote a lot. But they had never done a comic before. They listened to the podcast that we had, and they were like, oh, I think I can do it. And they did it. And then they made a second issue. And the second issue was like, I even sent them a message. I was like, hey, you've really stepped it up. You're really starting to figure it out. And then just haven't put anything out since then. They don't really mess in the comic world at all anymore. So
that's too bad. And that's hard sometimes too. Even with when I go, I don't know about you, but I'll take my comic and I'll go to LCSs and I'll be like, hey, I'm an indie, I'm in your area, I'm local. You want to carry my book? And a lot of times, a lot of times their first thing is, well, I don't want to carry it if you only release a book every 2 years.
Yeah, for sure. That's the struggle of small press and indie though.
Right. So same kind of thing. They're like, we really like it, but you're going to disappear in 2 years. So I don't want to invest in you. You know what I mean?
We finally got our first trade out, and trying to get shops to do that was like, well, we don't sell any trades.
They don't sell trades.
They do. They're saying that trades don't sell. And we stood there for, probably 20 minutes talking to this one owner. And we should have known because the previous interaction with them, they were discussing how much they hated Neil Gaiman. And I should have known at that point.
I'll go.
I'm probably just going to dip out. But we tried, and it never went anywhere. I think we have 2 shops that were like, yeah, we'll definitely do it.
Devil's Lair, we will definitely figure this out. I promise you. I have some ideas, but we'll have to talk about it later. Promise. But I mean, that's crazy because you always hear the opposite from, at least I do, when I go into an LCS. They're like, floppies are great, but where's your trade? And I'm like, well, we're not there yet. We're almost there. But I usually have people tell me trade. I want the trade. You know what I mean? So for some guy to be like, trades don't sell.
But that's what they told us. And then it's time to get the trade. And they're just like, well, it's just, oh, okay. You just had an excuse because you were like, you'll definitely never get to a trade. So get to a trade. And then all of a sudden, I don't know.
Maybe they were broke.
Yeah, that could definitely happen.
I mean, it happens. It happens where they're like, we'll get it next time. And then they're like, we'll get it next time. And they're like, we're closing.
Yeah, and I struggle every campaign. I want to put retailer tiers in there because
you should.
I do, and I have them on this one.
Okay.
I usually don't at the beginning, and then I talk myself into it, and I'm just like, all right, I'll be nice.
I always do. Sometimes nobody gets them until you find that one retailer that loves you, and then they will get it every time.
That's what happened to us. Was this time I didn't have one up there, and our friend's name. John, not that John, different John.
So many Johns.
Yeah, there's too many. And that one's Jon as well. Anyway, so he was like, he commented on one of the pictures. He was like, where's my retailer tier? And I was like, you know what? You're the only one that ever gets them. So I'll make it. And I named it after him. And so
I've done that before too.
Yeah. And the ironic part is I literally said, no one else except for you ever gets them. And within 5 minutes, another store ordered it as well. I was like, oh man.
But that, and it's like when you find that retailer, I put a retail tier, but I usually contact them where I'm like, hey, what do you want in your tier?
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I'll make it catered to them. And if someone else gets it, great. And if not, whatever.
That's
made
what I
this
did.
retailer
I
happy,
messaged him.
right?
He said, like, this is what I want in it. And I was like, cool. And then I put another one together that I thought was cool. And he
Yeah.
ended up going with the one that I put together. So,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah.
Usually
It's a
I'll
little bit more
put like a
expensive, too.
couple. I'll put a couple, like I'll put what he wants, and then I'll put like maybe one that's a little less expensive because he usually goes all in, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll take that down a notch where it's maybe just books. Because I have LCSs that want everything. They want all the merch. They want the posters, the pitch postcards, all of it. And then I have another LCS that's like, just give me your books. And I'm like, I can do both.
Yeah.
Right? That's the great thing about being your own independence. Like, hey, I can make whatever you want. Right?
That's right.
That's right.
We'll make it work.
So tell us, no, John, that is not correct.
But if they want our comics, then we'll put them there as well.
That's true. If the candy store wants the comics, we will put up a rack.
That's
however, I am going to be doing comics and cookies. That's coming this year, and maybe some bread. I like to do the breads. But let's switch gears here. Let's talk about Fall of Night.
Okay.
I'm really excited for this to hear, like, pitch it to us, and then we'll dive into it a little more.
Yeah, so Fall of Night is a story about a Knight Templar who goes AWOL once he finally starts getting the gall together to question himself about what's being done and said it's being done in the name of God, and then realizing that there are things that you can't ever take back, and he watches someone only boast their own power rather than what he thought the whole purpose was. So he goes AWOL and escapes over to feudal Japan, because a lot of people don't realize that those two things were at the same time. So he ends up in feudal Japan. We pick up, I think it's 3 years later, and he's just drinking his passed away with sake in the local tavern or bar or whatever they're called there. And he ends up getting in a bar fight on accident. Definitely not his fault. Did not provoke it. He just wants to be left alone. And then the local daimyo, who is pretty much a ruthless leader, comes barging in and breaks up the fight. And once, I don't want to give anything away, but we see Anthony.
Spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. We see
spoilers.
Anthony having to come face to face with the recognition of this ruthless leader is doing something similar to what I escaped. So, like, am I going to stop it this time, or am I going to let it go? We see why he's going to pick up his sword again, and he gets teamed up with the actual town drunkard, which is an ex-samurai's
Dwayne
daughter.
Fink. No, just kidding. Continue.
Yeah, well, that was it. He's going to end up teaming up with the ex-samurai's daughter, who is really the town drunk. Anthony's just an outsider.
Okay, so a whole lot to unpack there. What I heard from that, and you had kind of mentioned that your dad was a pastor.
Mhm.
So it's interesting to me that you have pulled in the church, and it's not in a good light necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up a preacher's son. I still do things that are ministry active. In fact, I have a devotional that's coming out this year. That's a 30-day devotional for dads that are struggling through custody battles and divorce, because that was a resource I wish I had as I was going through it myself, and decided to make it. So that stuff is still very important to me, but I am not Catholic. The Crusades have always fascinated me since I was a child. Yeah. The Knights Templar have always fascinated me since I was a child. And the idea that that a Templar Knight would finally question, like, well, this isn't exactly what the book that I say I'm living my life by says. We're over here just murdering people and just decimating towns and saying that it's in the name of God. That's all it took for me to write a story. Was I want that crisis of faith story. And I want to give it like a true, I want the essence of, like, it's not that he's written off his faith. It's more like he doesn't know how to reconcile what he's done, which is all of us. Like, we just don't know whether you believe in God or not. We don't know how to reconcile what we've done in our past, except for act like it didn't happen, or therapize it, which is fine as well. But anyway, so it's really a crisis of faith story to a different level, with a lot of violence and a lot of questions. And I think it'll be real fun to see it play out. See what people
good violence.
Yeah. Well, this is probably, I can't say it's the most violent. I keep saying it's the most violent thing I wrote, but I also wrote a story called Welcome to Everville, where, like, kids were getting eaten by aliens. So that's probably the most violent. So this is violent, I guess, in a more grounded reality way. And that's really what the story feels like, is it's super grounded in reality.
That's awesome. It will definitely, I feel like it definitely make people think.
Yeah.
It'll have some introspection time, questioning your purpose, having devoted his life to what he thought was right, and then having a wake up like, this is not what I was trying to do. And then it's interesting. I'm really interested to see how your character, when he decides to become active again, how he treats it. Is he going to have flashbacks? Is he going to freeze because he's in the moment and he doesn't want to go back to that? Is he going to throw himself into it and just totally like, not really revenge, but like retribution? You know what I mean? Is he going to find what he's looking for by saving, and to what end? What's the cost? Is he,
for sure,
sacrifice pieces of himself to do that? So this definitely is an intriguing story. I'm going to throw this up here. Here is the Kickstarter. We're going to play the video, but before we do, let me throw the link up there. There's a short link, which is way better than the stinking long link that I have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Love those short links.
It's the best part of going live.
I know, where I'm like, this is I have a long name. It's already long for pre-launch, and it like makes it this giant link. But
gotta spell it right.
Yeah, and like, oh God, I misspelled my own project. No, just kidding. Here's the link, everybody. So if you want to come shop around with us, take a look. There's some really cool stuff on here. I heard Jess mention the mug. The mug. So I want to hear the story about the mug. But first, let's watch this video. Check it out.
Be without fear in the face of your enemies.
This has been a story that I've wanted to tell for a really long time.
Be brave and upright, that God may love thee.
Exploring that fracture of faith when you're pushed too far in the name of God.
Speak the truth even if it leads to your death.
What happens at that point?
Safeguard the helpless and do no wrong.
Ooh. Gives me the chills at the end.
Thanks.
It's like it makes all like the hair on your arm stand up. It's like, ooh. Reminds me of John Wick a little bit for some reason. The art, like he looks like Keanu. Let me refresh this so we can see.
Joe would love to hear that.
Yeah. You can quote me and be like, hey, this lady I did a show with, she thinks he looks like Keanu.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. The art is beautiful. Let's talk about your artist.
Sure. So the interior artist is a blend. So it's Joe DeSantos doing the illustrations. So some people, if you've been around for a while, you might know Joe DeSantos. Seems like every show I do lately, they're like, oh, he made my logo, like in the comments and stuff, or stuff like that. He's been in the indie scene for like 20 years or something. So he was the first artist that I hired because, hey, there's Joe. He's in the comments.
Your ears
Love
were burning.
you, bro. Anyway, so Joe is the first artist that we hired, and him and I teamed up for Tilt, and so he was with me through Tilt 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think when issue 3 was being worked on, I told him about the story. And he was like, I would love to work on that. And so once we finally got together, Jessica is the producer on this. She was like, that's the one that needs to go into production. So that's what we started working on. And we brought in Lois Lackey to do colors. And we gave her a limited Japanese color palette. That's why everything has the same kind of tonality.
Yeah.
And that team up is just diabolical. It's coming together fantastic. And then Van Claridge is doing letters, and most people probably don't know who Van is. Van was a big fan of Catalyst, which is the company, for a long time. And he was like, I want to work with you in whatever capacity. And so he started learning lettering. And so he helped me re-letter a couple of things. And then we brought him in as the letterer for this. And I'm pretty positive I'm just going to bring him in for the letterer on everything.
Yeah. I mean, look at this banner. It's so freaking cool.
Right. And like the stuff that we've been seeing that's not on here, like the stuff that's in production still, it's crazy. He's doing like, you know, like on the top where the caption is 3 days later. Well, he's switching, like if it changes locations to, I think it's the Izumi province where it has like, instead of a caption box, it looks like an outline of the city and just crazy stuff. It's fantastic. I mean, for someone that's doing their first bigger release for him, he's just slaying it. It's a fantastic team.
Yeah, I'm gonna be because I letter as well, so I'm like, I'm always looking for someone who's doing something new, you know.
Yeah.
So inspiration. These are amazing. By the way, I don't know if y'all saw this, but here's the banner, and then there's this dude's head coming off.
Yeah, it's clean, a clean cut.
There he goes.
Yeah, I like the
These
way
are
that
beautiful.
that they did that, where it's like silhouetted the body, but you can still see his head.
Yeah, and I was like, haha.
Yeah.
If it makes me giggle, it's the right amount of violence.
Yeah, right. And it will pick up throughout the series because it just gets a broader perspective. And then I made a decision for this going forward that kind of each issue, I want to explore the background of a different character. So I think issue 2, we're exploring the background of Kira, who's the town drunkard and the ex-samurai's daughter, because it would be interesting to hear how she got to where she is. And then I think the third issue, we're going to explore the background of the local daimyo, the guy that's the ruthless leader. And just there's levity that I want to give that character. And I want by the end of this for people to understand why the characters are doing what they're doing. Because I think in the end, the payoff of the story's ending will be a lot greater.
Well, of course. And it's like the best villains are ones that have an understandable purpose.
Exactly.
You're human, and we can relate to, what is, what's behind them. This is the Marvel mess up, right? Because they start out when they make the villains like, oh, they have such a good reason for this, and then they mess them up by like they blow up a
for sure,
or something, and you're like, well, now I hate them.
Yeah. Like, I mean, even at its base level, it's when I talk to people about writing, that's what I talk to them about. Is like, your story's only going to be as good as your villain is.
Yes.
And so for this particular, because I do superhero stuff too, where you can make villains whatever way you want to, but in this particular story, with it being grounded in reality, well, why is this guy so ruthless in real life? Like, why would he treat people the way that he does? And I want to explore like his upbringing and the way that he was trained. And it's kind of the ideology of like what happens when you give a narcissist too much power.
Yes.
I mean, it's simplistic, but it's like, well, let's explore what that looks like.
Right. And I mean, like, I'm sure we've seen this in history before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're a student of history, you can look back and see some of the repercussions of like people who should not be in power that are in power, and the havoc that they cause. One of the things I pieced this together while we were watching the video about how perfectly this Templar Knight who has left his organization fits into feudal Japan is because he's also a Ronin. I was like, oh, I put it together. Like,
yeah,
but like that's part of their culture too, is a samurai with no master becomes a Ronin, and it almost has this stigma to it. And I was like, how perfect that they would understand him. You know what I mean? Exactly what he's going through because of their culture.
Yeah, so. and I've been asked. There's another show that I recorded, and he was like, "Well, so like, he's gonna pick up a samurai sword at some point?" I was like, "Absolutely not. No, he's a knight.
No, he's a Templar.
Yeah, he's a knight. That's what he knows, and I don't want." I said that would be the most predictable thing I could do with this story is just turn him into a samurai.
Yeah, no, he's been trained in HEMA. He's not gonna. Like, he has no idea what to do with the samurai sword. If he's been living by, and that's the thing that people don't understand is that, with martial arts, if you've trained and you've killed using a weapon in a certain discipline, that's what you stick with because that's what you wouldn't give up all that years of training to just, for what?
Yeah, no, he's a knight. It's brute force. That's his style.
Yeah. The fighting style is completely different. Still very effective. If you guys watch some of the HEMA fights, they're deadly.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, for sure.
How many HEMA fight are like, did you study the different arts? And like, is he fighting? He's obviously going to be fighting samurai because that's where he is. So are you able to accurately portray like the different fighting styles and how he would react to
Yeah,
samurai fighting style.
So far in this story, it's like in issue 1, it's more of a laying the groundwork. So we're going to see battle scenes that are going to be more flashback, right? So that's going to be the times where he's in the middle of doing the Crusades. So the sword technique there is he was a knight, so that one's a lot more straightforward. Now in the ongoing issues, when we start exploring Kira's character, Asujai, which is the local daimyo, like they're the ones that come from the feudal Japan area. So we're going to have to get a little more technical with the way that they present themselves, especially during a fight, and the world that they're in. But I think that's what's going to be interesting is not just myself, but with Joe as well, is teaming up to be like, well, this particular fight, we're taking it from what it was, and now we're going to switch to here's a knight that's in the middle of a bunch of people that have been trained in Japanese technique. All right, what does that fight play out like? If it's one guy versus 5 guys, we know we need the good guy to win. How do we get to that point? And I think that's the part we're going to have a lot of fun figuring that out, because I think it's going to look really cool.
Devil's there would like to know if you portray real sword technique in the story.
Yeah. So reflection on earlier, with it being the kind of groundwork issue, there's not a lot of technique that's being shown in the middle of a massive battle scene. It's more so like when you scroll down, you see like the cut or whatever. He's a knight, so it's like, one hand, two hand. We're gonna keep that part basic, and as the story progresses, we have to explore all those other styles of fighting. So we haven't had to yet, is what I'm getting at.
Gotcha. I feel you too. Like when people are like, "You got fights," I'm like, "Of course I have fights. You know me." And I was like, "But we're not there yet." I'm like, "We haven't gotten to the technical fighters yet." I'm like, "All we've seen are saloon brawlers." So I feel you.
At the end of the day, Anthony, he was just a knight. He wasn't like a commander. He wasn't like a super high regarded one. And I wanted to particularly do it that way, because I feel like by the time you hit commander, you're going to be a little bit, more, you're not going to be running away. That's what I'm saying.
Joe, but I'm gonna.
Well, that's the other thing about working with Joe is Joe knows a lot of this stuff. And if he doesn't, he goes and looks at it just for references anyway. One of the shining examples of that is Joe's background. Like when we did Tilt, and I wrote in that there had to be a certain scene where there's a missile. And I just remember the message to me. He was like, "Hey, when you say missile, is it this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one?" And I'm just like, "Joe, whichever one you think fits that story is going to be great, because I don't know."
You're like, "I have no clue. Pick one." That's hilarious. I'm still looking at some of this beautiful art.
Yeah.
Like this guy looks familiar as well. The samurai up here.
Yeah, for sure. We based every character off of like different actors and stuff.
Gotcha.
Just for the references and for the fun of it. I can't remember who it was that Joe, if you remember who it was that we did the samurai or Asujai based off of, that'd be cool.
All right, so let's get into the merch.
Yeah. So that one's ever expanding. It looks like I tried to keep it basic, and then I came up with other add-ons. And this is the first time I've done the campaign like this, where I kind of kept the packages pretty basic, and then I just did add-ons. And so far, that's working, and probably something I'm going to continue to do.
That's
because
cool.
It gave a little like refresher on week 2 where it was starting to slow down. Then I dropped a couple of add-ons, and like all of a sudden, hey, there's new people and people are upping. So that's always fun.
Yeah, and I love that too, where it's like, "Oh, you needed to come back and get an extra t-shirt? I love you."
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Please come give it.
Yeah.
So let's see. So $5 gets people in the door with a digital copy. I love these because you can be international. You can, you know what I mean? Like these are the ones that come out first, people. So if you're itching to read this story, this is great because $5 gets you in the door, and we love all of our digital backers. Heck yeah.
Yes, we do. I'm surprised on this one. I think this is one of the first ones I've done where usually the digital have so many more, like 3 to 1 more. And then this one, it's like people want the book, which is cool. So yeah.
I mean, I'm usually this level where I'm like, I want the digital, but I also want the physical. I want to touch it and smell it and take my time. But I also want the digital so I can binge read it first, and get all the deets, and then when the book comes I can relax and read it again and notice all the details and the Easter eggs, and
Yeah, for
you know
sure.
what I mean? Because the first
Yeah.
time you read through it, it's like just getting the meat and potatoes of the story, but you're always missing some detail.
Yeah.
So
And then,
that
and
second
this kind
read.
of a story, it's a heavier story. So, you know, the seeds are planted for other stuff down the road. So
How many pages is the issue? I didn't
it's
ask
going to
that.
be just your traditional 22.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we're still flirting with the idea of jumping from doing more single issues to doing a full graphic novel. So
Yeah.
then it'd be your single first issue and a full graphic novel. So we'll see how that ends up.
That's the scout method.
Yes, and you know, I've admired that for a long time, because we as creators, we want single issues because we like touching them and feeling them and stuff. But like every reader I come across that's just a reader, like Jessica included, she wants a trade. She just wants the whole freaking story. She doesn't want to have to do monthly. She doesn't want to have to wait for, you know, single issues.
Yeah.
And then you get the thing too where it's like, we noticed this with Tilt, where we put out 4 issues on Kickstarter. Then we went to do the trade, and the trade campaign was trash because it was like, you know, everybody already had the story that wanted it, and then finding new people to be like, hey, there's a trade. That was difficult. So yeah, I don't know. We're always thinking about it.
Yeah, and then that's a debate among our community too. It's like, how do you get to that trade? You know, do you do all the art first and then release the trade?
Yeah,
Or
right.
do you do like the 3 issues and the 4th issue is also in the trade, and that way there's no floppy, or you can, I mean, like, how do you approach that? I'm doing the same method that you are, where it's like all 4 issues are done, and then we'll release the trade, but the trade has like remastered issue number 1 in color, and then a crap ton of bonus material. So I'm hoping people come back and get it, but we'll see. What's the digipack?
Yeah, so this one's from a bunch of our friendly creators who threw in on similar styled stories. So we have The Pits, which was from Ryan, or Shimmy Comics, I guess, but Ryan Shemek, and then Matt and Steph from Insymmetry. They wanted to include their what's it called? Their sampler, yeah.
Cool.
Then Blood and Fire from Aaron Roblowski, and then there's the Dracula one that's in there too, from our other friend.
Yes.
And then there's 2 other things. There is, of course, this book, and then there's Fire by Night, which is a novella that I wrote, published a couple of years ago, and I'm going to include that in there as well.
Cool. So how many books come in this?
So it's 1, 2, 3, 4,
6.
Yeah, but that Insymmetry sampler is like 100
A
pages.
bunch of books.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's a whole lot of pages.
I think I have theirs in my next sampler as well.
Yeah.
That one, and like David Dow has like a giant book too. I was like,
yeah,
you sent me like your whole trade. I'm like,
yeah,
like issue 1s, dude.
Right.
I was like, this is like 100 pages. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
cool. I'll send it, but dang.
Yeah, this one would be cool
paid for this.
because we're doing a little prose mixed in there with all the comics. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Fire by Night's a novella.
Catalyst catalog. Get a digital copy of every title under Catalyst Comics studio banner. That's cool. 11 items included. Dang, Aaron.
Yep, it's a lot going on in there.
I didn't realize you had written so many. That's great.
Yeah, I've been trying for a couple of years.
Since middle school.
yeah, pretty much. No, you're right.
Full armor gets you a digital, a physical, plus a glorious t-shirt to go with.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah. This particular cover everybody talks about, so I was just like, bump it.
Beautiful.
Let's just put the cover on the shirt.
Yeah, with the sun, it's like a sunset in the cherry tree.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So the cover itself was done by actually the colorist on the book, Lois Lacking. She illustrated it and colored it. Yeah.
Amazing. I was gonna say it looks like Joe's work, but that's how close they must work. You know what I mean? Like their style is so similar. They probably like finish each other's sentences.
It was a good fusion for sure.
John's retailer tier. There you go.
That was the basic one that he ended up not going with. That's the one that he pitched me.
His name is John with an N.
His name's John. And that's the one he pitched me.
John's mega retailer tier.
Yeah.
Ooh, 2 backers. Way to go.
Yeah, that one comes with the little ash cans, a few copies of the ash can,
Cool.
and then the regular cover, and then the virgin variant.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool too. Where did that go?
It's down there somewhere.
This one.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool too. Did Joe design this as well?
No, I did that.
You did that.
Yeah.
Bravo, sir.
Thank you. I've been a graphic designer for a while.
I did not realize you wear all the hats. My goodness.
Too many.
Yeah, I feel you. Righteous indignation, $150. This doesn't get much better. All of my digital physical t-shirt katana keychain. I need that. Blade will be autographed. An exclusive hollow foil card. Oh, you have a new trading card set? That's cool.
Yeah, I'm switching up. We've always done cards with most of all of our campaigns, but I want to give it uniformity across the entire, all the stuff that I do. Cool. So this is going to be the first one that's kind of in that style. But they're also, it's a double, no pun intended, double-edged sword. It is going to be our business card as well, because the back, the logo is scannable and it's our QR code. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so all of our trading cards are going to become business cards.
That's smart. It just sends people right to the website. That's awesome.
That's right. Yep.
I'm totally stealing that.
Yeah, go for it. Honestly, I had told someone else, like, man, this is for stuff that you could just be giving away business cards at a show, right? And people will grab them, throw them away. But like, you give trading cards and they might be like, oh, well, I'm going to hold on to this trading card because it's just cool looking. So turning all of our trading cards into that, I was just like, that just makes sense at this point.
Did you see my business card that looks like a trading card?
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's the same thing that I was like, it's me, but I'm Baroness and it has my stats. So people are like, hey, this is the old X-Men trading cards. And I'm like, absolutely.
Nice.
I'm like, but it's me.
I mean, it's a good idea. So.
It makes people chuckle when they see it. They're like, who's this? I'm like, me. They're like,
I don't know, someone.
Right. I was like, it's not me. Okay, it's fine. Ooh, what's this? Virgin righteous indignation. Oh, so many great words together.
Right. So that's just the package above it, but you also get the virgin variant with it.
Nice.
I always have fun putting together packages because I like the experience of putting them together and then seeing people open them. So those ones in particular. There's the katana keychain. I'm also doing. I can't draw. I can graphic design, but I can't draw. And for whatever reason, people keep asking me to draw stuff, and so. Every campaign, I do an awful sketch from a writer, and people always want the awful sketch, and I let them pick a character, and I actually try. I will sit there for an hour and a half and try to draw, like the one in the background there is Tinkerbell. And it comes out awful, but it's funny. And then that one as well, we're going to do the Templar Creed, and I'll probably blood splatter it, and my plan is to have Joe sign it, and then I'll sign it as well.
Cool.
And then
everybody got this mug. Everybody's hot for this mug.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was going to be like that. So I wasn't even going to do it, except for I talked to the last campaign I was involved with was a Trade Injustice that I scripted for Ralph Madrigal. And he put mugs on there. And so I was just talking about the possibility of add-ons. And I was like, well, what was your return on that? And we kind of broke down the numbers. And I was like, I kind of would love to do a logo for the Dragon Spit sake. So I made the logo and I put it on a mug and boom, here we are.
I just like how it's black and white on the outside and red on the inside. Like as you can see, that's kind of my shtick, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it's mine too. And I saw on the, I don't even remember who I'm going through for that particular one, but it was just like, oh, it's already red on the inside. Well, heck yeah, let me slap the logo on there.
Oh yeah.
So
did you order them that way, or did you like sublimate your own mugs? I'm just curious.
Yeah, they're already made that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. I like sublimation on doing, like, I don't have a mug press though. I think my editor does. I might get her to do some mugs.
Man, that would be cool.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Joe, get a mug press.
Yeah, get a mug press. Sorry,
we'll both
Jazz.
hire you.
So this is the time where I tell everybody, hey, go to this Kickstarter, go show some love, Go shopping, get a mug, get a t-shirt. Definitely get this book. I am, very intrigued by this story between the two cultures, colliding, all the ties between the two, and just like a story of redemption and loss of purpose, man. I'm definitely intrigued. I'm happy to read this.
I think I'm going to do a weird thing at the end of every issue. I don't talk about this much, but I've ended up talking about it because I just think it's an interesting point, is that every issue I would like to have the final facing page. Like after the story's done, you always have the page at the end. I would love to have that final page having a scripture that's reflective of what happened in that issue.
Interesting.
Because he's from the Knights Templar. So it's not to be preachy. It's to be like, all right, well, this issue was about the fall, or him falling or whatever. What's a good scripture that goes with that? So that'd be like the final thing. And I don't know. That's just something weird that I've been thinking about doing.
No, I think that would be poignant. I think that people would get it. I think they would understand it because it's so relatable to who the character is.
Right.
And it's almost like insight into what the character is thinking in that moment. Because we see them kind of go through the actions of the story, but it's like something that they would be thinking of. So it's, another level of interaction. It's like breaking the fourth wall almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So before people leave the show, hey, do this for me.
Yeah,
that's right. Go do it.
This
is just it looks like an awesome project to climb on board, and it looks like there's so many other cool things that you have going on. I'm really happy that people are finding you through my show as well, so that they can participate and find something new that like.
Yeah, it's nice to meet new people. So.
Let's talk about Kickstartering. I had kind of mentioned I had a video for you, and this is I haven't shown it in a while, but this is the one that I think kind of represents what it's like to go through a Kickstarter.
All right.
Hold on. I think I'm bleeding. Am I bleeding? Ah! 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 Nose and lips. Okay. Ow. Ah! No, can I? Ow! 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 Wait! Ow! 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 Please, Mr. Oh!
Yep.
Yep.
You know, the only update that needs to be done on that is there needs to be like 400 more shots of Kickstarter scam ads.
I had those at the end when the Fivers all show up. They're like, boom, boom, boom,
yeah.
boom. And you're like, no, please, no.
It's gotten so much crazier than my last campaign. I know Carissa's talked about it, that she had 20 within like the first couple of minutes, and it doesn't stop. This entire every day, it's nonstop. It's just scam. It's honestly infuriating because I'm actually going to write about this on my Substack. But the reason that I'm a bit upset about Kickstarter's lack of handling that is because I have missed multiple messages from actual backers or other creators that wanted to cross promo or whatever. And I'm missing them because I'm also getting 40 to 50 a day of just, we can help you get 5,000 backers or whatever.
Right. Give me $500 and I'll send you a list of emails that you can email. Let me help you utilize my skills to that way, ultimately get more backers. And it's like, if any one of those worked, we would all be using that person.
We would already be doing it. Also, like, you're not even a backer. So
yeah, or my favorite, like, hey, you have Cash App? I'm going to Cash App you $30,000. Just send me $500 back.
Yeah.
I wasn't born yesterday, son.
Right. Jeez.
Like, you. No, usually I say I'm going to pray for you, and that pisses them off worse. I'm like, you need Jesus.
It really does.
I'm going to pray for you.
I've really enjoyed like getting to know some of them. Just really Like I told one of them, I've put it in the chat at one point, but it was like one of them was just like, "Don't be like that, baby," and they were just like, "Well, what do you mean, hun?" And like the responses are always great. And then I had one where I was like, "It's like you don't even care about my feelings," and then all of a sudden the tone shifts, and they're like, "How can you say such a thing?" And like nonstop.
Like, wait a minute, where are we right now? What's going on?
Yeah, one of them I told him my mom doesn't let me talk to strangers,
right?
And then they just like kept going with it. They're like, "Can I talk to Can we do a video call? Can I talk to your mom?"
And you're like, no,
you wouldn't like what she would have to say, and she would probably just pray over you on the phone.
Gosh,
because that's my mom.
I'm the one that sends people the memes where it's like scammer shows up in my DMs and it's like a picture of Frodo dead.
Yeah, for sure.
Just dead.
So anyway, that's pretty much for me the most aggravating part of Kickstarter right now is I don't know why. I don't know if something's wrong with me, but like the idea that I've missed a message, it haunts me now. So
yeah, I don't like that either. I like to be Johnny on the spot when I'm answering backers. You know what I mean? Because I don't want them to have a bad experience. I want them to keep coming back. So
yeah. And one of them, luckily I caught it, and it was a simple question of like, they asked about one of the particular items, and then they ended up becoming a backer and doing both add-ons. And like, I don't know that would have happened if I never saw that stupid message.
Stupid scammers.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of ups and downs, I feel like, in recent Kickstarters too. I don't know if that's a January thing or if that's like the new norm. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like, I'm referring to like people backing and then lowering or canceling. I don't know if it's like bots or what.
I don't know, and I don't understand that in particular. That's another thing that I feel weird about. Like, oh, all right, I'll get in trouble for this, but like,
wait, this is hilarious. Pops is like, I left for 5 minutes. What are we talking about? Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, no, my thought on it is that I wish they would be more like Indiegogo in this regard and just go ahead and charge it. And then, if they want the money, they have to ask for a refund, and it would help. It would help so much in so many creators, mental health and everything.
Yeah. I just don't think Kickstarter will ever do that.
They won't, because I think they would feel too much like Indiegogo.
Well, I think it's just like one of their core values. Like, it's kind of like, you know what I mean? What makes them Kickstarter is that until it's over, people can change their stuff. And that's what kind of sets them apart from some of the other ones. So I don't think they'll ever change that, which is super frustrating. Holiday credit cards coming in. That's
that's some of them. But like, what our mutual friends going through, I've not seen anyone quite happen like that. Like with Carissa's she's been sending
especially
us I don't understand that. I've not been having that problem. I did have, it was a few days back, and I had two people back, and it was sometime in the morning. And then one person, decreased it and then canceled it. And then the other person that had backed that same morning also canceled theirs. And neither of them were for a lot, so it wasn't damaging that much, but it was an interesting note. But like, other than that, I haven't had many cancellations, or the only adjustments have been people adding on. So I know people are going through it. And that's why every time Carissa sends something in the chat, I'm like, oh crap, I need to brace myself.
I saw something similar to that activity at the end of my last campaign. It was like the last 2 days, and we were rated like, I want to say 6,500, and I had a stretch goal at 6,500. Right. So we would go over, and then we would go under, and then we would go over, and we would go under, over and under, over and under. It happened like 12 times in the last 24 hours. And I was like, I don't know if you people want this stretch goal or not.
Right.
I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if we break it, great.
It seems like you're all working collectively to keep us away from the stretch goal.
I know. Like, I don't know. Someone needs to do something so that way we can like get past it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
the reason why we like FMC is partially the fact that you get a human when you have an issue and not an automated system. Yeah, that's one of the draws, to go to FMC or Fund My Comic for any, people who are not familiar, is that they are smaller. and they have a nice human touch, but they are still growing. So there's a lot of different platforms out there. Have you used other platforms besides Kickstarter, and what's your thoughts on that?
I'm actually probably going to do it again. Oh gosh, which was it? I don't even remember which one it was now. But I did like the in demand on Indiegogo for it might have been the trade. But then I was so frustrated about the trade that I just ended up closing the in demand page. But I plan to. I think I'm going to do that again with this campaign if it does well enough that I feel like it justifies it. Because I like the idea that you could just have a storefront, and it's on a platform that I don't have a lot of traction on, so I could put effort into like building that traction on Indiegogo. And I don't care that much about politics. I don't talk about it much, so
same.
It's more so if I shove it on there and people want it, then they'll get it, and if they don't, then they won't. Kickstarter's still my babe, and then Indiegogo can just be my side piece. So.
Oh, well, apparently you can have a storefront on FMC as well. I have not ever used FMC. I used an Indiegogo second chance campaign just to try it. I thought it was all right. I like the fact that they take the money at the time.
Yeah.
I just felt like there wasn't an organic process for people to find me. The only people that backed me on Indiegogo are the people that I physically sent there.
Okay. Yeah.
There wasn't like people that I think my project's pretty cool. I think that if they walk upon it, that at least somebody would back it. That's what happens on Kickstarter. When people find me, like 50% of them might back me. But on Indiegogo, like there was 7 dudes and that was it. And I sent them all there.
For sure. That's how ours ended up. Yeah.
Right. So I feel like that's their flaw. Is that there really isn't a way for people to organically find you on Indiegogo. And I wasn't pushing really hard at the time. I had just finished like 2 months of hard push on Kickstarter and I was spent. So I wasn't about to do another month of hard promo.
That's the only part that would keep me away from doing, having a storefront or having the second chance is just after you get done with the freaking campaign, you're just like, I would rather be done with this campaign.
Yeah.
But I could also convince myself, I believe, that I could at least leave it open until the next campaign's ready to go and then close that. And I don't know. I'm throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks.
I've been watching. I want to look more into like how these guys did, but there's been a couple campaigns that will run the same time. So like they'll be active on Kickstarter, Instagram, Indiegogo, and on Fund My Comic all at the same time.
How is that just not being cracked down?
And I can see the pros and cons to it because they're doing one interview and they'll be like, if you like to back on, Indiegogo, we have an exclusive on Indiegogo. You can pick it up there. If you like to back on Kickstarter, you can back us there. And if you like to go to Fund My Comic, you can go there. So they're doing one press tour and they can send people to any campaign or any platform that they're most comfortable with.
I understand that. Yeah.
I get that. But then you're spreading your money out between, like, how do you set your goals? You know what I mean? Do you have a strict goal for Kickstarter? Because that's the one where it's like, if you don't meet your goal, you get nothing.
Right.
The other two, you can at least set it up where it's like, here, I have a flexible goal. And if I don't get it, we're still going to go forward. But that's my concern is like, what if I need $2,000 on Kickstarter and my Kickstarter people are now at Indiegogo? So now I miss my goals in one place or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Plus,
for sure.
now you're dealing with 3 different fulfillments on 3 different systems.
Yeah,
so it can get complicated that way.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what Hojo did. Yes. So that's why I'm like, I want to go and look at their success rate because I understand like time marketing is so hard for us because we're working 2 jobs. We have family. We're trying to be a creative. I'm writing scripts. You know what I mean? Like you have kids, you have wife, you have this, you're taking, making sure your artist team is all on track. And it's like between all of that, you're still doing shows. So it would be nice to do one show and running on all the campaigns at the same time, or I don't know. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I used to.
This too.
I thought there was a rule. Like I thought there was a rule about doing. I don't remember which side it was on, but Kickstarter and Indiegogo at the same time.
They won't let you. How would
you're
they...
not? If I remember correctly, it was like I want to say it was on Indiegogo's side, where they didn't want you running a Kickstarter at the same time. But like, if no one's there to enforce that, then it doesn't matter, I guess. I don't know. I remember it from a few years ago because I had thought about doing that, and then I don't remember where I saw it, and then I just didn't.
Because I know there are some people that are dead set on their platform.
Yeah.
I've done interviews. Oh, here comes Pops. I've done interviews where they're like, I don't back anything on Kickstarter. They're like, if you're on Indiegogo, I'll come back you. And I was just like, well, I didn't know, the people are stuck in there.
But you said you did a second chance on Indiegogo and only got like 7 people.
I only got 7 people. I got like $150. So is it worth it? But again, I wasn't pushing either. If I was pushing just as hard as I was on the Kickstarter, more people would have gone. So it's a double-edged sword. You get what you put in.
Let me jump in here real quick. Okay. Yep. When people started running second campaigns on Indiegogo started shadow banning their campaign, so you couldn't find it on their site.
This is what Devil's There said as well.
That's why
we've seen it happen.
That's why you got 7 backers on Indiegogo. You might not have been shadow banned, but you weren't pushing it. But a lot of people got shadow banned.
I was already done with campaign, but again, like nobody was looking for me there. And I feel like if you were scrolling on Indiegogo, that mine wouldn't even pull up.
And there was people like Doc and Stephen B, whose campaigns have never been on Kickstarter, but both got shadow banned on Indiegogo in the sign-up phase.
Yeah. And then when they asked them about it, they were like, "We don't do that."
They denied doing it, and then Indiegogo tried to claim 22% of Doc's sales when you couldn't find Doc's campaign on their site.
Jeez.
Oh,
so
Lord.
We left behind. Okay, I look, when you start banning campaigns like Kickstarter banned Mike Barron's campaign. Okay, when you start doing that, when you start shadow banning people so they can't find you, you're not serving the comic community anymore.
Right.
You're done. You're done. Okay. Fund My Comic. Luke saw what was happening. Luke was smart. He built another platform, a comic person for comic people. Okay. He takes suggestions. Look, if you got a suggestion and you go, "Hey, Luke, man, you should try this." Luke's talking to his people and setting that up. Okay. He's listening to the comic people, what we want in a platform, and he's giving it to us. And it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. It's a place to sell comics. This is comics, people.
Pops.
Wow. You got, you know what I mean?
I have my own bench. I bring my bench places.
But I like
you're sidetracking my
human
interview.
touch, the human touch and the cost. Okay. It's worth checking out. That's all. But
we love you, and we know that you support the freedom of choice, and that's what Fund My Comic is right now. They're the place where you can go, and that someone will actually look at your stuff, and there's a human touch behind it. They charge less fees than everybody else. It's just that there's so much draw for Kickstarter because
Kickstarter
find you organically.
Yeah,
like I get backers from Kickstarter every time that I've never heard of and have no clue how they found me, but they find me there. So that's the draw of Kickstarter.
Oh, I'm not saying not to use them. This is the whole thing. I'm saying use them all, but this is the reason why Indiegogo was mad at if you used Kickstarter and then came to Indiegogo was mad. Okay, and it's like all that dumb stuff got in the way of people selling books. Go to every platform.
Yeah.
Go to every
try them out. Yeah.
You can set up, like, you can have your main one where you set your goal that covers your stuff, but you can set the goals on the other ones really low and just get some sales. You know what I mean? It's like sell books, people. That's all. I just wanted to clear up the Indiegogo shadow banning Kickstarter thing. That's all. But, we promote one. We recommend one. We hope you all go check that one out. The rest of them have been around for a while. They're going to serve you the way they have always served you. Okay? That may be good. That may be bad, depending on your personal experience. You see what I'm saying? Some people ain't had a good experience over there or over there or over there, but there's a lot of places. Do it everywhere. Find what works for you, man.
Right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Pops. Pops popping out. We call him Pops because he pops in and then
That's
he
what
pops out.
happens. Yep.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I forgot to say hi to Aaron. Hi, Aaron.
Hey,
how you doing?
how's it going, man?
Thanks, Pops.
I've been trying to get him to come out on the show. I'm glad he found one. Cool.
I got him.
Yeah.
All right.
People like
she
me.
got me.
Peace.
I was like, I always find the good people. Me.
That's right. Oh
And
my
he's like,
goodness.
who you having on the show? I'm like, oh, you just have to wait and see. I have the best people.
Oh, well, shoot. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know about running the campaign at the same time, so that's interesting. Like you said, though, I'd be curious
right?
to know what how that ended up for them.
Yeah.
More so, not just the numbers, but like mentally on the back.
Yes. Right. I mean, because like I said, I can see the benefit of it. Because then you just, like if I Carissa and I both do like a crap ton of shows. I think she outnumbers me at this point, but I was doing like 34, 40 shows in like around 30 days. I'd be trying to cram them in. And if I could double my productivity, because again, if people are like, I just don't back stuff on Kickstarter. Well, it's like, oh, we got an Indiegogo.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But how much?
Yeah, that's the thing is like, because at this point, that's exactly what would happen is I'd have to do it as a second, or what they call it in demand
Chance campaign.
But then it's like a whole other thing of marketing.
But then you got to take the time to build a campaign. You know what I mean? And those take time too. And I mean, like, yes and no. It's like you hopefully would only have to build the icon, you know what I mean? Like the icons once, and then you could use them on both campaigns.
Well, then it's the whole discussion that I've had with people before where, because I know if I do an in demand for this one, I'm not offering all the same things.
Right.
Because I feel like that cheapens my campaign on Kickstarter. So, you mentioned earlier that I thought it was good ideas. Like you have an Indiegogo exclusive thing or I don't know where that'll end up, but like if I were to do a second chance, it would mostly be for the book. And I don't know what else I would add in case, unless I came up with some crazy add-on that I could make feasibly work. There's a hoodie I really want to do, but
I'm excited. I'm getting a hoodie too. I can't wait. I ordered the prototype for myself.
I don't know that I am. I don't know that I am because it's just so. I would have to charge so much, but
I know
somebody did reach out and they gave me a breakdown yesterday of like how they think they can make it work. They work for a large screen printer, but that the people that they work for only handles like large industry stuff, and they just let him do whatever the heck he wants if he wants to like help small press, and he does want to help small press. So if I find out the cost, I'll let you know. But
yeah, absolutely. I have a lady in Michigan who's wonderful. But as we start to grow, I don't want to overwhelm her because it's like I still have my deadlines where I'm like, can you get this to me in like 3 weeks?
Right. Yeah.
You're like, sure. I'm gonna kill you. I'm like, okay. So that's a
Sounds
no.
good. Oh goodness.
17 hoodies and 35 t-shirts. No.
No, you can't do that. You have to stop doing other stuff.
Right. It's like you have a life. Oh, okay.
No, you work for me now.
Right. I mean, I am paying you, right? No.
Right. Just get it done.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping I can make that work though, because I personally like all the merch stuff. I do it because I want it. I mean, that's
yeah. You, me, Carissa. Yeah, we're like, I was gonna make this anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
but
the
now
mug,
you guys
like,
can have one too. Sure.
Once I realized I could make myself a mug, I was like, well, maybe other people want a mug.
And I've been asking people too. I'm like, do you want a tumbler? What do people want on their campaigns? It's merch.
Yeah.
So it's like some merch I really like, some merch I really don't like. Like I don't understand iron-on patches, stickers, buttons, but people love them.
So all right, patches. I've never been big into patches, but the best idea that anyone has ever given me that actually worked for us on patches was my former co-owner. So I played in a pop punk band when I was a teenager. He played in a punk rock band. And he was like, what if like you just did the logos of Yeah, I know, Joe. See, Joe in all my contracts, that's part of his contract is some
He
of the
gets merch.
Yeah, which is fine.
Most artists are like, I want comps, not Joe. Joe wants
Yeah,
patches and merch.
he'd rather have merch.
We love
but,
you.
But yeah, the best idea he gave me was like, do you remember the punk rock patches from like the 90s where it was just like fabric and you had to put them on with bobby pins or not bobby pins, but safety pins or whatever.
So punk.
Yeah, and so we did that. We did the good guys logo and the bad guys logo, and they actually did pretty well. And they were so cheap that I still have so many that I can bring to shows and sell them for a few dollars a pop, whereas they only cost me not much at all. So I'm curious to see how that plays out once I start going to shows again. But that was a super cheap way to do patches, and people like patches. I don't care about them, but
people love, right? So I'm more interested in what do people like, so I can put stuff on there that they actually want.
Yes.
I don't like putting a bunch of junk on there that people like. Who wants a pen? I don't want a pen. Path of the Pill Rider pen, Laurie. That's weird.
Yeah.
I can get free pens from the doctor's office. Thanks. My dentist gives them away. So it's like, well, what can we do that's cool or different? Or that's why we ended up making hot sauce. It's like, oh,
you just do weird stuff. The trade campaign, I did one where so there's a scene in Tilt where
wait, Pops is like, you leave my buttons alone and send me one of yours, please.
Oh goodness.
I don't have buttons yet.
I haven't done buttons either. I think I did one time, but I haven't done them since. But in Tilt, we had a scene where he threw a VW buggy through a window. And so I went and bought like a little VW buggy that actually ended up looking just like it. And I smashed it with a hammer. And then I signed the side of it. And like somebody wanted that crap. So
isn't that funny?
Yeah. I don't know. It's fun stuff for us.
It's a collectible item. It's a one of one.
Yeah, for sure. So I look forward to giving that to that person. I'm still in the midst of fulfilling the trade. And then I need to drive a set of them to one of the stores there in South Carolina. So I usually go do that one in person because it's actually the biggest store in the Southeast right now. But
wow,
good guy. He's been with us since the beginning. I reached out to a bunch of stores when I was doing Tilt, and it's not that I like money. It's more like I need money.
We need money to make the comic. And it's like, I'll put stuff on there if you want to spend your money on it. People love, my husband is notorious for this. He will go to a Kickstarter and be like, ooh, look at this cool junk. And he'll buy it all. And I'm like, why do you have that? Like, what are you going to do with that? And he's like, I'm going to put it on the shelf. And that's where it stays. And I'm like,
I wish I did that I'm probably going to start doing because I think it's a really good idea. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Michael Watson, I think. But he did a tier where it was a $3 tier. And the only reason that it's a tier is so that you can just buy add-ons if you just want add-ons.
Huh.
And I was like, that's a good idea. Because then people can just build their own crap.
Yeah.
So
what do you get for the $3? Just like you get to go buy add-ons for $3.
Yeah. You just make your own package for $3.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, he could have made it $1, but like you might as well just get 3. I'm not going to bust him on it.
Right. I mean, whatever works, man.
I thought it was a good idea. I'm going to see how his campaign ends and then see how many people did that.
Yeah. How many people actually did that? We want to know. And see, that's me too. I'm always gathering information. Like, what did you do that we haven't seen before and how did it work?
Right.
I need to know.
Yeah.
So that way I can see if I can utilize that for myself.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still I feel like I'm in a rebuilding phase with everything. Cause once the end of 2021, both myself and the co-owner hit the reset button on our lives. And so last year was, 2022. We did a little bit. 2023 was a wash. It's just a crap year all around. Most difficult year of my life. And now like the new year's starting. So we're trying to I'm trying to step it up
fresh.
And, and even Jessica's over here trying to do shows now, which is just crazy.
Cool. Yeah. I'm going to have her on my show too. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I always like to have the lady nerds on because then we can become best friends. I think between Carissa and I, we will adopt her into our lady nerd cult. I have another lady nerd that I'm trying to adopt. Her name is Bethany Perry and she writes zombie books. So we became friends.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking forward to to adopting new lady friends.
Yeah, she she's the producer on this, but she also is our pre-press editor, which I had to have because I screwed up a print run of something bad enough that I was like, I can't be the only one that looks at this crap anymore. So she took on that role because she's a stickler for the way it looks. And the big benefit to her was that she's a comic book fan. She's not doing what we're doing. And that's great.
Consumer. She's on the other side.
Yeah. So like her advice on stuff, I'm like, okay, well, that's good to hear. Because it's coming from just a consumer and not just someone who's all brought up about. Yeah, exactly. She'll fuss about them. And she does. Like
that's what we
hear
need.
A rant, you listen to her after she reads like any of the James Tynion, like House of Slaughters. She's always got something to say. She's always got something to say.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's what we need as creators. We need people that are not actively in the making the comics. We want someone who's read all the comics, been like, this works, this doesn't. This takes me out of the story.
Yep.
Why is this here? It should go the other direction in the action. Like all of that. That's what we want because we want it to be the best version of itself.
For sure.
So,
I mean, getting those notes, I think, only helps elevate the craft. So I appreciate that about her. It's cool.
You had mentioned doing more shows. You have plans to do some shows in 2024?
There's a kind of yes, kind of no. The problem is, by the end of the previous year, everything for the next year is already
you got to be like Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, so either I'm going to slip into a few this year, or next year is going to be the bigger like return to shows year. I loved doing them. I had a lot of fun doing them, and I think now with the possibility of Jessica coming, depending on when they are, and then the kids as well, I think we could have a lot of fun doing that. The only one that I've really looked at so far was it's just a massive arts festival up in Pennsylvania, and they're not even a comic thing. It's just there's like 10,000 people that go through there. And
wow.
Yeah, and so like I might as well try it. I can yell at anybody.
With people in there. Yeah.
I'll be one. So we'll see.
I love doing just little local shows. Where the tables aren't too expensive. And a lot of times people are super supportive because you're an up and coming writer. You've been around for a lot longer. But, as a new writer and someone, that's local, I think they're more likely to give me a chance when I'm there. When you go to those big shows and like the tables are so expensive, even like Dallas Fan Expo, I think their table is like $600 this year, and there's a wait list. And it's like, do I go? Do I have enough inventory? Am I going to be able to make my money back?
That's the catch. Small. That's the big catch is, we did, I think 2019 was the year that we went to cons and we only had one comic. So I would never advise anyone do that. If you only have one comic, it's literally not worth the cost of going to a lot of places. The funniest one, it was in South Carolina. It was their first year doing it. I think they're still doing it, and maybe they give up. And it was awful. It was so dead, and it was only cosplayers that we just ended up turning that whole weekend into just like a bro getaway. So like we just went and hung out in a hot tub at the hotel, and then we went like downtown because it was in Charleston. So we went downtown and just like, let's get some like bougie food. And that's what we just treated the weekend like a little getaway. And then we went and sat in the con and just watched nobody show up. And we met people, which is nice. That's one of the things I enjoy most is meeting other creators.
I think that, when you go to a con and it's not as busy as you were hoping for, you can still utilize your time by making connections with people. Shopping around, seeing, because again, most of the people that are from, well, not always, in the bigger shows, they're going to be from everywhere. But like, let's say I go to Arlington Comic Fest. Those are people from Arlington pretty much.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, they're local-ish. So it's like, a new person or, a new, like there's a comic book LCS that was right next to where we were. When I say we, I mean me and my artist Marco, we're in the same area. So a lot of times we'll do cons together. And so we introduced him. Well, he introduced himself to us, and then he had a podcast and he had us on the next week where he was like, hey, we'd love to have you. You know what I mean? So he's like, I've heard your pitch like 60 times at this point. He's like, I think I know what your comic's about, but I'd love to ask you lots of questions on the show. And I'm like, absolutely. So it's really interesting the things that can happen based off of those slower cons. You know,
I'm interested to get back to them, especially now that we have a trade. Like I'm interested to see how that pans out. It'll be exciting. The thing I really did enjoy that I would like to start doing again was doing like setting up at a local comic shop for the day. Especially if you can get up with one that's going to actually talk about it or let people know about it. But we used to be real tight with a store that they're closed now, but we used to be real tight with the store that they would do a thing where it's like, hey, you get 10% off your purchase in the store if you buy a comic from Catalyst.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it was fun for all of us, and they sold a lot of toys. So
that's cool. Yeah, I love LCSs that are like super supportive, and I have a handful that I go to regularly, and it's like keeping that relationship and Geek Out in Burleson. I love Charles and his staff. They love my book. And that I think is the biggest thing. Yeah. Because when they love your book, they're pushing your book to the people, and they can pitch it to people, and I don't have to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I do these things called pitch postcards. I don't know if you've heard me talk about it in the chat, Aaron, but I'll do a 4x6 size, and it has like a cover art on one side. On the back, it has my pitch and a QR code that'll take them to like a free read of issue 1.
Okay,
so they can read it before they buy it. So it's like even at an LCS where maybe their staff doesn't know my story, those are sitting on the counter and they can just hand them out to people, or like you could put them in a pull list bag or something.
Yeah, this campaign we did little half page flyers, and it's that cover art from the book, and then it had a QR code, and then it had a little brief description of it, and then after that I was like, oh yeah, I should add something. So on the back, like if people ever flip to the back, it'll say if you want a free copy of one of our digital comics, just send us an email with this code word or whatever. So we did that. We dropped that off at a bunch of different stores, and then like little libraries, you know, your mom, so little libraries, and just anywhere, coffee shops, go leave them on a counter, whatever. Because we go to a lot of different coffee shops between 2 states. So
interesting.
Yeah, so I think I'll probably continue to do that. Maybe at some point we'll see a return on that very non-expensive investment.
Yeah, and that's key, right? Let's find inexpensive ways to promote books.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't know. If we had the answer, if someone had the answer out there, we would like to know, please.
Yeah, I mean, so much of it is still like building your brand and building. The problem with indie comics, I think, is that it's become that we're the brand, you know? So it's like you have to sell yourself.
Yeah.
Which, you know, not everybody's good at. I don't think I'm particularly good at it. I like talking to people, so hopefully it pans out at some point. But, you know, I think my biggest detriment was that last year I just kind of stepped away from everything, and now it's like a restart. But at least we're launching with something that's probably going to fund. So
yeah, I think you
left.
Definitely should. You have 15 days left, and you're like 90% to goal.
Yeah.
You should be fine. Usually in the last 2 days, like that in itself would push you over, but you'll probably get there with plenty of time.
I just should have done 3 weeks. I told myself it, and I didn't.
I know. Well, that's a debate too in the community. And if people are in the chat that want to chime in, what's the optimal time to do a Kickstarter? Because they always talk about 30 days, but 21 days, 24 days, 19 days, 14 days.
I'm vibing a 21 day. And I did it for the trade, and I shouldn't have done it for the trade because it put a bad taste in my mouth.
I didn't think about that. That's probably a good place to put a comic book.
I wonder if Jessica's going to respond to that, because we had a whole discussion about that.
Really?
That was the other thing, was we were talking about like, all right, this particular kind of book, with it being feudal Japan, like where did those people hang out? And by those people, I mean people that are into like anime, manga, and like, you know, that kind of scene.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we could push that over the edge. I was just reading the comment down there. Not sure the science behind it.
Everyone says 31. Not sure the science behind that. What do you think, Tom? I don't know. I've seen people that are very capable of doing 2-week campaigns, but they've been around for a while. So
that's the thing.
31 because there's always that slog in the middle, and that's right where Aaron is. It's like day 15 where everything just ends. It's like you're waiting and you're like, I'm still here. Someone come touch the button.
and so I asked, I don't want to just drop people's names, but I asked somebody about it, and I was like, why do you do 21 now? And there's somebody that does not just their own campaigns, but they run a company, so everyone's campaigns under them as well, and they're all 21 day. And I asked them why specifically, and they were like, well, your first week you're in the new section. Second week, if you end up on Project We Love, you get like that little thing. Third week, there's no chance of being on any special page. Fourth week, you're on, so if you were to do 3 week, you do first week, you're new. Second week, you could do Project We Love, and third week, you're on Ending Soon. So you're always on somewhere other than your own page.
Right.
And so they switched to that, and I mean, they make a lot of money, but I think that's because their books are boob books. But I just noticed across the board, they're just doing 21 no matter what the campaign is. But I don't know. I'm always curious to learn.
What was it? I think Atrocity Press was talking about how their campaign always goes over 2 pay periods. Like it'll launch and then there's a pay period.
Yeah.
And before it ends, there's always another pay period before it ends. So it's like they get people when they have money.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
So that makes sense too. Yeah, that's Max. Where he does, and he said that too. We were like, when you launch, everybody's like, when you push the button, and Max was like, you have to go over 2 pay periods, and I was like, that makes perfect sense, right? Because even though it's Kickstarter, people are always like, well, I don't have the money right now, and it's like, well, you don't have to have the money until it ends, and that's
no one gets that.
What's important.
No one gets that though.
They don't, and I mean, like, I've talked analytics, and we've talked about like. How to explain to people like how hitting your goal quicker, helps you be seen because of Kickstarter's analytics, that once you're funded, it'll push you forward as opposed to at the end. So it's like, I have the same people that every campaign will back me in the last week. And it's like, I'm live because this is campaign number 4, right? And you've been with me since number 1. So when we launch,
you know better than this.
Emails.
Yeah.
It's like
the outreach part is the part that I'm still struggling the most with, and I guess that's where most indie and small press we struggle with the marketing side of it. And then if not marketing, then budgeting and finance in the small press and indie world is just nearly non-existent.
I don't know that people need to take a finance class to understand budgeting.
Yeah, I'm not trying to destroy my entire life to get the comic book out. Because like I've been honest about it with the trade, with the way that campaign ended up is like we funded, but I got so screwed on like because it was a lower goal and it's a trade, so it's more expensive to make. But we funded it, but then Kickstarter takes their percentage, and so like I just part of me was like I kind of wish I didn't even do that campaign yet. But I have a bunch of copies of the book that I'll make that back at some point. And I was talking to Doug Wagner, and he's telling me about some of the books that he's done. For people that don't know, he did vinyl, plastic, like all those image books. And then Click Click Boom was the last one he did. Anyway, he told me that it took him 5 years to make the money back. He said that's currently in the industry. You're not making the money back on a graphic novel or a trade. It's until 5 years.
Wow.
And that was crazy. And I put that information with information that Rob Guillory gave me about what's kind of happening in the larger ones, and that they're changing their approach to where they're putting comics out through. I mean, I don't want to say it on here, but it's going to be interesting to see going forward what happens to these comic book studios when you realize, like, as a writer, you can get more respect somewhere else. And and so I'm interested to see how it plays out over the next pretty much year, because I think we're going to see people that we know starting to do other things.
Well, we've seen a lot of people that were with Marvel and DC, and at this point they're bigger than that, and their name carries weight, and they leave. So now they're producing their own independent stuff, and it's like, okay, if Marvel and DC were the be all end all, these guys that are big names would still be there, but they're not. and there's reasons behind it. So it's interesting to me, like everything is always evolving. Like, you know, anytime there's new, and I'm going to bring up what Pop said in a second. Anytime there's a new like social media platform, those people that hop on early and can see the potential are the ones that are with the million followers. Like the people that have million followers on YouTube are the ones that have been there since YouTube was monetized in the very beginning. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Same thing. TikTok. People that were there early are the ones that are monetized and have a lot of followers now. So it's when something new comes in comics, we have to have foresight to see where it can go and not be the sheep or the followers that's like, hey, we're going to wait until it takes off and we'll see. So it's weird. It's like a business sense. But also you can't, I don't know. It's like financial risk. So there's so much that goes behind being an independent creator. And speaking of platforms, wouldn't it be great if you could all get seen on a platform as large as Roku? Yes, it would. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. This year, I think we'll be able to get that done. I think the robot Laurie for a second.
You came back online.
Did I disappear or?
No, you just got errored in your voice.
Oh no, weird. That's weird. Still robot Laurie?
No.
Kill all humans. Sorry.
Exterminate.
And this is interesting too. Like, are you familiar with Ginge?
No.
He does. Oh my God, he's gonna kill me. Xenomorphic, the Xenomorphic universe. He doesn't do any crowdfunding platforms. Everything is direct sales.
Okay.
And he's pushing 7,000 copies sold of his books.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. Xenomorphic versus that whole thing. You know, when you're like trying to find something and you can't find it, that was my brain just a second ago.
It happens.
So at what point do you outgrow campaigning, crowdfunding?
That's the goal, isn't it?
Isn't it?
But like
always.
But do we know anyone that has?
Besides Ginge?
Yeah,
not very many.
Right.
Because then it's all direct sales. Maybe Eric Holiday was his last name.
But like, I still feel like your potential to make more money is to do a campaign.
Not necessarily, because
I'll say it from the perspective of all right. So I'll say it from the perspective of Doug Wagner. He had straight up told me, he said, "Man, I made exponentially more money off of running."
Eric Holiday, thank you.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, that's true.
That's another one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, he had said that he made exponentially more money off of doing one campaign than an entire run of Plastic, which is, you know, I mean, for anyone that doesn't know Plastic at Image, like that was a huge book for him. And Rob Guillory as well, who did Chew and he did Farmhand. Like he made more money off of doing, they make more money off of doing campaigns than the contracts that they're given.
I believe that 100%. And I mean, like, if you're a big enough name, like look at Berserker with Keanu, like they killed it. Right. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like we could have a whole discussion of whether that's fair or not. Those guys had plenty of money to start with. What did they need a Kickstarter for? You know what I mean? Just taking
I'm
money
curious
out of
how much money they invested in their own marketing and advertising.
Right. You know what I mean?
Because we don't have those kind of funds.
Exactly. So it's not a fair playing field. Yeah. But what I was thinking though is, well, I'm going to take William Russell for an example. He does that series called Psycho Sal. I'm involved in that. He says that probably 90% of his backers are all people from his social media. So, and they're returning. So at that point, have you outgrown Kickstarter? Because now you're bringing people to Kickstarter's platform. 90% of his funds come and he's giving 5% away to Kickstarter and 5% away to freaking credit card fees. So is he just at that point giving money to them instead of doing direct sales? See what I mean?
The only way to know is if he flips over to doing direct sales.
Try it. I mean,
and try it. Yeah.
And that's what I said too, because he and I were talking about it. I was like, the worst thing that you can do is try it and see how much money you raise. And if it flops, at least all of that is in your pocket, and then you can run a Kickstarter. You know?
Yeah, we want you to try it so we don't have to.
I mean, let's be honest.
Well, I mean, for real, like if you're going to say 90% came from your social media, let's see if that translates. That would be good
quite
information.
a few have never run a campaign, so Pops knows a few too.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's people out there. The marketing would be interesting to me. Like, how much money do you spend money on marketing, and how much, and what kind of return does that get you?
Right.
I'm always interested, because if I'm not putting my time and effort into podcasts and promoting that way, where else am I going to have to, you know what I mean? Or is that the same?
Yeah.
You're just pushing people to a different website, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a guinea pig.
if you're gonna financially invest in your advertising, it would be interesting to see if you use that same amount to push them toward your own website or whatever, what kind of return you would see on that.
Yep. Yep. All good questions, all things that we think about and keep us up at night.
Yep. Terrify us and wake us up in a cold sweat.
And then we go into a chat and dump all of our feelings, like, why?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh Lord. Anything else that you would like to tell us about Fall of Night, or like what's coming next? Are you going to do more Fall of Night? Are you going to switch to a different book that you're in your repertoire? Like, what's next?
Yeah. So the very next thing, I guess all right. Real quickly, there's the devotional that I mentioned earlier for dads going through custody and divorce. That's a whole other thing. If you're not going through that, it doesn't apply to you anyway. So whatever. But if you know somebody, hey. Anyway, there's that. But the next comic related thing, I don't know which is coming first. It's either going to be I co-wrote a book called Final Heist with John Westhoff, and we have that campaign coming out in the summer.
Yay!
And that's going to be a one-shot book. So it's, you get the whole story in one. Had a lot of fun writing that. Anyway, so it might be that, or it might be One Last Job, the full graphic novel. So One Last Job is a James Bond style spy story, like a little blend of Taken and really cool, like gritty black and white story. Because I wanted the vibe of the first scene of a lot of 007 movies that's in black and white until he shoots somebody and it switches to color. Cool. Anyway, it's just it's my homage to I grew up watching 007. I still love 007. I think it's fantastic and fascinating. So One Last Job full graphic novel is going to come out this summer. We did 2 campaigns for 2 issues, but instead of doing like a 3rd and 4th issue, we're just going to do a full graphic novel and switch the format. Yes. So that's going to be the next thing. And then hopefully the end of the year, for those that have asked and begged for the follow-up to Welcome to Everville, we have finally gotten an artist for that, and it's going to be called The Neverling Chronicles, and we're still playing with the idea of just doing a full graphic novel rather than 5 issues.
Oh, how are you going to sleep at night? Don't you have to? I mean, this is just because I've never done a graphic or a trade, so those give me anxiety.
Yeah.
For those of people that have already done them, I'm sure it's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of like getting your ears pierced for the first time. Where I don't know, man, is it gonna hurt? Like, aren't the goals so much higher for doing a graphic novel than it is to do like just a floppy?
Ish. I mean, a lot of people said that to me, and then I actually priced them out. I was like, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was at all. Especially if it's like, all right, well, I'll adjust the print run, for now. I'll adjust the print run. And then, I don't mind constantly reprinting trades. That is, nonsensical to me. I'll do it. I don't care. I don't like reprinting singles that much because, I don't know. I just have a weird thing about that. But anyway, I think financially it'll work as long as my big thing now is getting closer to like what the actual number is that we need, like financially.
Yes.
Instead of just putting a low goal and hoping for the best. I'm trying to keep pushing that to what I would like to see. So hopefully I can keep scaling that up a little bit. But the reason I'm doing it with these 2 is because like even Pops will attest to, he has asked me multiple times when One Last Job 3 is coming out. There's not going to be a 3rd. It's going to be just a full graphic novel. And then everyone constantly asks about the sequel to Welcome to Everville. So that's going to be the Neverling Chronicles, hopefully at the end of this year. But we'll see how it plays out. And then throughout the year, I also have the Final Heist thing with John.
Mark, how are you, sir?
Hey.
He's all the way from the UK.
Oh, my good. Hey, do you know my hat, Mark?
Oh. What is your hat?
We'll see. We'll see. All right. So my hat is it's from Wales.
Oh,
that's Wales in Welsh. And it's like the dragon, because their logo's the red dragon, so it's the dragon tail.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got it when I was over there. I've always been fascinated with that country, so since I was a kid.
Cool.
I went over there in like 2013 or something, and I'd like to go back someday. Yeah, for sure.
I was like, you want to retire there someday?
Well, it was weird because I grew up with a fascination of the country, and then I didn't realize until I was an adult that my favorite book series as a child was the Darkest Rising sequence, which was written by Susan Cooper, and there's a whole series of them, and it's a play off of Arthurian legend. And I never realized until I was an adult that it was set in Wales. My favorite show growing up was like old school Doctor Who, and then I never realized that was just filmed in Wales. So, yay, there we go.
Cardiff.
So Cardiff's where I visited and stayed. I stayed at it's a Best Western. I think it was the Maldor or something hotel. And I just picked a random hotel and it happened to overlook the whole downtown street, like the main street. So it was cool. But anyway, yep. So
that's funny.
That's that nerdy part.
It's funny how like we're all connected, really.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that you and I have run in the same circles for forever, but we've never like talked before. So
right. That's why I was like, we need to fix that. You need to come on the show.
Yep. And Jessica she was booked before I was. So
she was.
That's just ridiculous.
It was just like I said, it was a weird random thing where like Carissa was supposed to be on. Carissa books me out for like her entire. I don't know how she does this, where she's like, we're gonna Kickstarter July, September, October.
Yep.
Just like you planned out. I'm like, she's like, when are you Kickstartering next? I'm like,
I hope some point.
Maybe in February. She's like, it's January, Laurie. You don't know. And I was like, I gotta finish this book before I can plan things, you know. But she's booked out so far that sometimes this happens where she's like, I've been iced in. I have to get out and do my job because I'm backed up. And I was like, cool, Aaron, come on the show, man. I was like, let's hang out, let's nerd out, let's talk about comics. You got a campaign, we're gonna do it. So it worked out.
We did.
Absolutely. In the last few minutes, why don't you tell everybody your socials? Tell them where they can find you. Obviously, people, we have put the link for the Kickstarter. Let me go scroll up and we will put it back on the screen. We would love it if you would go back. Fall of Night, Violent Beginnings. It has an amazing story that we talked about. Lots of good stuff coming. Where is that link? We've been talking in the chat for a while.
Oh, goodness. It's up there somewhere.
I'm just going to go drop it again because I can.
Because that's easier.
It's way easier. I'm going to drop that, but yeah, tell everybody your socials.
Yeah, socials wise, you can look up Catalyst Comic Studio on Facebook. We'll come up. I closed our Instagram because it was pointless. We do have Twitter, which is technically also pointless, but I haven't closed it yet. So that's at Catalyst Comics. I think it's just at Catalyst Comics. Website's catalystcomicstudio.com. It might work right now. It might not. I've been in the process of trying to rebuild it, so the server stuff's been messed up. And then for me, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram and Threads. Just look up Aaron Dowen. There's not too many of us. There's a couple, but I'm the one with the beard. And on TikTok, you can find me at Aaron Writes Stuff. I've been trying to utilize that platform more. I have only gotten it within the last couple of months, so I do have weird stuff.
I don't know what to tell you, man. It's on the screen. I don't know. Just type it in. You could just very easily go to Kickstarter and type in Fall of Night, and it pulls right up. So I apologize if the linky loo isn't working. I don't get it. It is on my thing. Here, I'll try this one. Does this one work?
Yeah, there's another one.
That way. Because mine was the YouTube link, but Jess is on the Facebook, so maybe that'll show up for you. Devil's there.
Freaking YouTube.
It's always one or the other, honestly. It's like, you think it's working? It's not. You're like, goodness. You think you're live? You're not.
All the time. The links is honestly the worst part of StreamYard, I think.
Which one?
Putting links up.
Oh, Lord.
There's a complaint every time.
Every time. My favorite, though, I went on George Medina's show and we had a whole 15-minute conversation and he forgot to push the record button. I was like,
oh, no.
George.
Oh, no.
He's like, we're going to do this all again. I'm like, oh, man.
No,
you know,
can't recapture the magic.
It's like you try to recreate what you said the last time and it never works.
Never. There you go. You got everybody posting it now. That's easier.
Perfect. Check it out. There you go. There's this one too. Go check it out. Go check it out. Go check it out. Go back this or
consequences.
There you go.
No, that's all right.
Oh, see, Pops.
Now it shows. Hey, thanks. Thank you. See, we needed Pops to pop in and drop that same link that I popped. Or I don't know. I don't get it sometimes, but
Maybe somebody else to put it, I guess.
Yes.
Whatever.
We just needed a man to do it. That's it.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It just triggered like everybody watching.
Yeah.
But on
Sure.
that, good night, everybody. No, just kidding. Just make sure you tune in next week. If you're not following any of the YouTube channels we're on, please like and subscribe. We got lots of good stuff. And I'm going to be, what am I doing this week? I have a live stream on tomorrow. There's a pre-recorded for Anyone World Showcase. I have Bethany Perry, zombie fiction writer extraordinaire. We became best friends on the show. Please watch it. And then I will be, I'm not sure if we're D&Ding on Friday. We finished our campaign. We kicked ass crack. And the cleric won the game. Me, thank you. Because I called a Solar who then kicked everybody's butt. So there's that. So if we're D&Ding, we'll be doing that on Friday. And if you don't catch me there, please tune into a special on Friday afternoon. We're going to be launching the mob, the deck of cards we were showing earlier. Wait, let me go up. This one that we showed earlier because it looks freaking cool, man.
Welcome to Mobamals.
That's launching on Friday. So tune in for that. We're going to have a blast. Brett is he loves mobs. So does Mobster's, just like Mr. Big. So I'm looking forward to that. I got lots of questions. So catch us there. And until then, be good to each other. Kiss your babies. And we will see you all next week. Say bye.
Bye.
In a small town, unlike any other, Lisa and her husband Ray were away from home for a long time. The stress of the world brought them back to their homestead to recharge. The entire family is reuniting once again for a time of faith, food, and fun. The whole town is invited. Come join Ray and his family for the feast of a lifetime. Welcome to the picnic. Slaughterville Book 3, The Cannibal Rednecks, is a 66-page, full-color story of love, loss, and family, set in the small town of Slaughterville. Look for it on your favorite crowdfunding platform.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month,